before you start that, having hip surgery, you know where the #1 place where MRSA comes from? Your nose.
Yes.
Your nose. Now they swab your nose with betadine and all that before you go into surgery. So your nose
That was
might.
400
Yeah,
on MRSA.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yes.
All right.
In your nose.
Do I have 7 minutes or am I short? which if it's short, it's fine.
Let's say 7 minutes.
All right. Well, if it gets
6:55.
if we need more time, let me know. All right, or less time. I was going to do a little bit of a question and answer, but I also, while we were going around, I thought about something that I want to talk about that I haven't done that much, that I just took care of on a friend of mine's car that I've been telling him he's needed these for 160,000 miles. One of the things that we never replace on our cars that needs to be replaced, and it ties into being a safety item, are the shocks. Most people never know that their shocks are worn out or shocks are bad until they start seeing a lot of extreme tire wear. The tires start to cup and you just can't keep tires on the car. One of the things that shocks do is keep the car from swaying and cornering, and that makes it the safety item. People don't realize that over time, the gas charge that's in the shock and the oil that's in the shock deteriorates, and the shock no longer is a shock. Does anybody know what a shock is or what a shock does? Okay. Yeah, the shock is a hydraulic piston, sometimes gas charged, sometimes not, depending on what kind you have, that slows the spring from moving. If you didn't have the shock, every time you stepped on the brake or went around the corner, the vehicle would shake and bounce and yaw much more than it should, which makes the center of gravity change too quickly, which can make you run off the road. One of the things that makes a bad shock dangerous is in an emergency situation. If you have to avoid something or someone in the road and you swerve, when you swerve and the top of the car catches up to what the wheels are doing, then it overcompensates.
Especially if you have a truck probably too, right?
Yes, trucks, vans, anything, the higher it is, the more important the shock is, or the heavier it is. So Scott's truck had 200,000 miles on it. He had some cupping issues. We'd gone through 2 sets of tires. I told him, Scott, you need to replace the shocks. Don't need shocks, not this Scott. So Scott finally listened to me and let me put shocks on his vehicle. Well, he had air ride and automatic load leveling shocks on the car, so it was very expensive. That was the reason he kept putting this off. So after we replaced the shocks, within 3 minutes, he calls me back. He goes, oh my God, this is a new truck. He goes, I didn't realize when you kept telling me how bad these were, how bad they really were. Because shocks go bad gradually. It's not like something that fails, that you see it fail, or you hear it fail, you smell it fail, whatever, oil leaks, things like that. It is a very, very gradual process, just like a tire wearing out. So when you get them replaced, you then realize how bad it is and how much more control you have on the vehicle, braking, cornering, emergency situations. If a shock has been on the car over 60,000 miles, it has lost some of its performance. 60,000 miles is the mileage that is recommended by the Safety Administration, Automotive Safety Administration, to do these types of products. So anyone that has a vehicle that has over 60,000 miles, it's a good idea to replace the shocks and struts. You'll get longer tire life. You'll get better handling. You'll have a safer vehicle. Time?
What's it, ballpark?
We
What,
got 3 minutes left.
3 minutes. left.
ballpark, what are shocks?
Prices are all over the place because some cars just simply have a shock front and rear. You can, on some cars, you can buy a shock for 40 bucks. Some cars have struts all the way around. Some of these strut assemblies can be $300. And then you can have the expensive magnetic ride control or air shocks, and these can be $1,000 a piece. Scott's was very near that. His shocks and struts on his truck were about $3,000 after parts and labor. But He's gone through two $1,500 set of tires that he had on the vehicle. Plus, he's exposing himself to a safety issue.
Sure.
He's got a brand new child and two older children that ride in this was a Tahoe, that ride in the Tahoe, which he's exposing these kids and himself to safety issues every time he goes out on the road, because you never know, as crowded as the streets are here, when someone's going to pull out in front of you, when someone's texting or on the phone not paying attention. So it is truly a safety issue that needs to be addressed and not forgotten about. And again, because it is one of those items that wear out so slowly, people don't know that it's bad. Any other questions about shock struts?
How often do you check them? I know you said at 60,000 you recommend changing them. How often do you check them?
Well, unfortunately, shocks and struts aren't something that you normally see that are bad, with the exception of one having a catastrophic failure and the oil leaks out of it. You don't know. There's a series of lip seals that go up the piston that the piston's pointing straight up, so the gas and the energy can leak out of the shock and strut, and you don't know it because it leaks so gradually that it's hard to tell. That's why this is one of the few things that are mileage based. But that we know, because of how long these have been on cars, that over this period of time there's a diminishing capability of the shock or strut.
Is there a difference between the gas shocks as opposed to the hydraulic, the liquid?
Yes.
Better or worse?
Generally speaking, the gas charged shocks are better and more expensive. On a normal conventional shock, if you push the shock in, the shock stays wherever you pushed it to. On a gas charged shock, it pushes back out to full extension. So they have a lot more capability of controlling heavier loads, and they tend to be on trucks and sports cars. On the race cars, we use gas charged, nitrogen charged shocks, and we can change that pressure to change the characteristics of the car. When you're buying shocks or struts, there are many, many different brands, levels of shock and strut. And the one bad thing about shocks is when you replace them, the car gets a much harsher ride because it's controlling that damping. You might actually feel like when you're just riding down the interstate and everything's going perfect, that the shock feels better worn out. But if you ever get in an emergency situation, it's a serious thing. Thank you, Kerry Singley, AutoWorks 1.